listening to Modern Male Radio with Jerod Zavistoski and Sydney Hall, right here on LA Talk Radio.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Jerod Zavistoski, and you're listening to Modern Male Radio. This is all the stuff your mama should have told you and the shit your daddy never knew. And joining me tonight, as always, my co-host, Sydney Hall.
This is Sydney Hall, your boy Sydney Hall, right here on Modern Male Radio. And I guess we have to start off by saying Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas. Yay.
And actually Happy New Year, because the next time we're on will be actually in the new year.
Yep, it will be New Year's.
So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I guess this is the time we, before we go on with the show, this is the time we take time to wish happy tidings to our family members and people close to us.
Yes.
How about we do that first?
You want to go first?
Well, I have a huge family. I have an unbelievably huge family, so it might take me a little longer. So how about you hit that off?
Yeah, I'm just, I'll give a shout out to my mom and my sister and my brother-in-law.
I don't think you had to say it like.
I don't even know how to do it. I'm like, wait, how do you bring that up?
How do you say Merry? How do you say Merry Christmas?
Yeah, Merry Christmas to my mom and my brother-in-law's family and my brother up in Oregon.
You could use some names. You could use some places where they are.
Nathan, my brother Nathan, he just got. I think he cut his thumb open or something. He's on some antibiotics.
Oh wow!
And stuff.
Well,
so,
get better in the new year, Nathan.
Our prayers go out to him, and
And where are these people hailing from? Where are they? Are they in white Christmas territory? Are they in rainy Christmas territory?
My brother, I think, is in rainy Christmas territory. I'm not sure if it's snowing up in Oregon.
Okay.
The rest of my family is here in Southern California, and I have some family.
Sunny Christmas.
I have some family on the East Coast, where actually very close to where you're from, in Connecticut.
Okay, well, that's where I'm from.
Perfect segue into your family.
That's where I'm from, Connecticut. Yes, I definitely like to wish my huge family a Merry Christmas out there in Hartford, Connecticut. Sonia, Ed Hall, and all the halls on Canterbury Street. I know they're going to be bringing it in strong. So I have, let me get this right. I have about 13 nieces and nephews now.
Jesus.
Yeah, I have 7 siblings, Adrika, Jason, Allison, not necessarily in that order, Joshua, Solomon, myself, and Alexander. Alexander's out here on the West Coast with me now, but everyone else is on the East Coast. We got shout out to Jordan, my eldest nephew. He's about, I guess 27 now, something like that. Actually, you met Jordan, yeah.
Yeah.
All my little nieces and nephews, Merry Christmas. This is your Christmas gift right here. A big shout out on the radio, so don't expect anything under the Christmas tree.
Merry Christmas. And you have, how many brothers and sisters you have?
I have 4 brothers and 3 sisters.
So you're the 8th.
So I'm the 8th. Yeah, there's 8 children. I'm the 6th child, a younger brother and a younger sister, respectively.
I'd like to give a shout out to Sydney Hall's mom for going through that and raising those children.
Well, that was back in the day. So
I'd like to give a little bit.
Wasn't too much TV back in the day.
Well, your dad was busy.
Yeah, he was busy. He was busy working. But those were yesteryears. Those are yesteryears where family and big families meant a lot more than they do in these times.
Are you still really close with all your
regardless,
siblings?
besides the Octomom and things like that are put in TV and reality TV.
Yeah.
That are kind of sensationalized about big families. But my father is one of 19 actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I come from and my mom's one of 5. Come from clans, we're one of 4. So Zakia, uncle. Yeah, one of 5. My mom's one of 5. She's the eldest of the 5, and my father's the youngest of the 19.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
So
so I'm giving big shouts out to clans of mine, the Halls and the Halls and the Barksdales in Springfield, Massachusetts, on the East Coast.
It's like mafia. I mean, you guys could literally start a mafia if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think my father and his brothers had a little something going on. Little something going on in Springfield.
What does your dad do, Sydney?
My dad is in the computer business, so formerly a computer scientist. Worked for the insurance companies for a long time, and then years ago he started his own business, Hall and Associates, which is a computer integrating firm. So they do a lot of work for businesses and small businesses in Hartford, Connecticut.
That's crazy.
And throughout the East Coast. Hooking up the computers, brother. Right? Hooking up the computers.
And you're close with your brothers and sisters?
Yeah, we're all fairly close, you know.
Now, you had a thing with one of your brothers. He was actually kind of that he poked at you, and that was the turning point of
Well, it was
your career.
it was a thing because it was all to do with business. I decided to start a business out in Australia. One of my restaurants out in Australia, and that business didn't go too well, you know. And he got involved in it, and it just became this kind of this family thing that didn't go too well. But we all laughed about it, you know.
I was talking about how you became a Ford model because you're.
That's my eldest brother. My eldest brother, yeah. The reason I became a model and pursued this dream of being the best looking guy in the world, which I don't think I obtained that, but somewhere on the ladder. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, you know, siblings can be cruel. And you know, when you're growing up in a big family, you get ridiculed a lot, and you have to find some way to get through that. So, you know, there was a lot of darts. You know, there were a lot of darts thrown in my household. You know, with love, but hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah, and I mean it's funny.
So, you know, those things you kind of take and you choose to move through them, you choose to deal with them, or you choose to harbor them.
Or they become crippling.
You know, a lot of these themes we've discussed on the show in terms of, you know, who we are, where we come from, and how we turn out to be.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, you know, it always goes back to sociology versus psychology, and kind of how your mind works versus the environment that you're in, and it's insane to think that something like that could have given somebody a complex, you know, and an eating disorder for the rest of their life.
Yeah, it totally gave me a complex, you know.
And then, you know, so it did give you a complex.
Oh yeah. I probably still have the complex.
It's a little chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, definitely. I've carried this chip for a long time.
But it's pushed you to great heights. So is it, in hindsight, was it something that, you know, it's not?
I think anything in life, you know, any push in life, you know, depending on how you take it, as I said before, you know, can, you know, navigate you to the highest peak, or it could sink you to the lowest hole. It's all about how you take it and how you deal with it. And I chose to, you know, it wasn't all bad in my house. You know, we had the fights like brothers do.
Yeah.
We had the misused words like brothers and siblings do. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we grew up in a very loving, caring household.
Yeah, it seems like it. You're very wholesome when you get to know
Sometimes.
Sydney. He's very wholesome. Yeah, it's crazy. My brother's 10 years older than me, so it was very, very odd. And we have different fathers. You know? So we didn't actually grow up together, and you know.
So was it just you with your parents in your house?
Originally, it was my mom and dad up until about 4, and then they got a divorce.
Okay.
And shit kind of hit the fan. So to
Shit
speak.
kind of hit the fan, as sometimes it does.
We moved, and you know, stayed out in Maine for a little while.
Okay.
And then
Maine lobsters?
Yeah, they were like $4 back then. It was
crazy. Back then, really?
Yeah.
Did you grow up on lobster?
I don't think so.
He said,
I don't think so. I remember getting lobster, but I think over there it was just like.
Well, $4, I'd have had lobster every day, but you can't really eat crustaceans every day. Bad for the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, I don't remember a lot of my childhood. There's so many different things that happened. It's crazy. You know, life just kind of. It does its thing.
I remember everything about my childhood.
You're lucky.
I have from when I was about 5 in kindergarten.
You remember?
I remember a certain point, and after that, I remember everything after that.
Yeah.
Wow. I remember getting up one day, and I had it was a big bag of hand-me-downs that we normally got from some family in Washington, D.C., because they had boys too. My Uncle Sydney, who I'm named after my father's brother. So they used to bring down, you know, my older cousin's clothes all the time. And I was, you know, I'm like, people complain about hand-me-downs, but that was, like, exciting to me. I was I was like, word, mad clothes. I'm going to get to the bags first and get the best thing out of them. You know, it wasn't like, oh, I got to get these hand-me-downs and wear them to school. I was like, really.
Yeah, I grew up on hand-me-downs, too.
I was really excited. And I remember, I think the first day my mom let me dress myself, and it was like, okay, you know, it's kind of chaotic. I remember going to the bathroom. I remember grabbing these plaid pants like the golfers wear.
Yeah.
And these are my prized possession. I was like, I am rocking these plaid pants to school. And I remember them like they're close fitting because, you know, back then, you know, that was before the baggy. You know, baggy was new. Baggy clothes is new. You know,
I have a theory on that. I'm gonna.
Yeah, back in the 80s, you know, the clothes were close fitting, and they were red, blue, white, and they had a little brown in them, and they're a little bell bottomish.
Okay.
The little bell bottomish, they didn't flare too much, and I put them joints on in front of the mirror and was like, I'm about to go to school and rock these. And no, bro, I'm like, I grew up in a very urban area.
So you were 5, right?
Yeah, I was 5 years old.
You're 5 when this is happening.
5 years old.
So you're a little 5-year-old.
I'm a little 5-year-old, and I'm posing like, yo, I'm about to rock these plaid pants to school, and everyone's gonna be like, you know, because going to school was like a show. Was like, okay, that's how you got your props. You know what I'm saying? By, you know, the fashion.
But you're 5. Yeah, like that had to be like the first day of school.
Yeah, it was one of the first days. I don't remember exactly if it was the first day, but it was one of the first days. And the school was right down the street. That was before I transferred to my other school, which was that was a whole another story.
Yeah.
Right. So I was and from there I just remember me being into fashion. That was actually my fashion landmark right there, was these plaid pants from the black plastic bags in the hallway at 49 Canterbury Street.
That's funny. You know, I grew up on hand-me-downs too, and you know, I actually put this in the book. I have a theory on how baggy clothes came to be popular. And, you know, it's funny because there was a shift from the 80s to the 90s, and all of a sudden, you know, the grunge look came out of the, you know, the upper West Coast. And a lot of that was said to be, you know, it was a war on the, you know, spandex-laden transsexuals of the rock community.
Okay, yeah, you had disco area kind of.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even hair metal back then, you had these guys putting on spandex and, you know, dressing like women. They're not saying that they were transsexual, but they were dressing like transsexuals. And then you
never had a pair of spandex?
No, I have not, actually.
I had a pair of spandex.
You did?
But I wore them underneath my football.
Well, there you go. And it's funny to note that the football uniform.
They felt really good, though. They felt unbelievable.
I'm sure it probably
felt really good. Yeah.
But it's funny because you know, all of these different little landmarks in fashion. It's funny because you know, like wearing a leotard or whatever, you know, for wrestling or for football, you know, spandex uniform. If you look at a football player from his back and you compare it to an illustration of Prince Charming. It's the same thing with the shoulder pads and everything's real broad and everything's real skinny and it comes in.
The triangle, that's the physique of a, you know what I'm saying, of your man in terms of your knight in shining armor. The physique is that V-shaped, broad shoulders, small waist, you know.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
That thoroughbred look.
We also, you know, going back to the baggy thing, we in society, we've, you know, we go through these fashion trends, and it's always been interesting to me, like, where these things came from. And I kind of feel like the baggy clothes thing became popular because people were wearing hand-me-downs that didn't fit right. And then they got popular. They got on TV, and they're like, well, I started because when a man does something,
that's funny.
They kind of bond to it, you know?
Right. And either you have to own it, or you perish with it. Like, you know,
exactly.
Like, I knew I had the hand-me-downs, but I owned the hand-me-downs. I was like, these are mine.
Yeah.
I wasn't like ashamed. You know, some people are ashamed to wear hand-me-downs because you get talked about. Let me tell you something. When I sewed that Izod, that alligator into my shirt, I was like, I don't care if I was like, I made this shirt. And it got an alligator on it now, and I'm proud of it. I worked hard for this joint.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Everything I did, I owned it, and not necessarily, you know, it was a bravado thing, of course, because, you know, just the neighborhood I grew up in, you know what I'm saying, was, you know, wasn't not rough. So you had to deal with these, you know, I went to public school, so you had to deal with these things going to public school, and you had to deal with, you know, kids come from other neighborhoods getting picked on, bullied, all that. So, you know, really you had to poke out your chest or perish with it. Like, you know, I had to really like, okay, I had to really formulate how I was going to act when I went to school. I was like, okay, I know there's some kids there, you know what I'm saying, they're kind of bullyish. They don't like me because I'm the new kid. Okay, I need to formulate my attitude before I walk in there to shun them off. To get them off me, to totally get them off me.
Yeah.
And to have to come up with that.
Overcompensate.
Yeah, overcompensate. Yeah. Put that bravado on, put that, that masculine on. Don't mess with me, please.
Yeah.
Please don't mess with me, please, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny.
Hence my acting career. That was the birth of my my fashion career. That was the birth of my acting career. Everything.
Sydney's first day of school was the beginning of his life.
Public school system in Hartford, Connecticut.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and I've never really even thought about the fact that you'd have to own it, and to be like, okay, I'm gonna make this cool because I don't have anything else. So really, my attitude on it is what's gonna matter. And that's
like you said, it's your attitude on everything.
Yeah.
Your attitude towards life is how you get through life, how you deal with life. It's your attitude on it.
Yeah. And we talk about that in the book with the flaws, because there are a lot of people who really feel like they're at a disadvantage or they've got some flaw in them, and it's like, no, you make that matter. That flaw matters if you make it matter. If you decide that flaw is not going to matter anymore, guess what? It ain't going to matter.
Oh yeah. I'm like, I got my thumb cut off.
Then you can make somebody feel dumb for looking at your flaw.
Right, exactly.
Like, you're the idiot. You're the judge. You're the fucking racist.
Yeah. But not even just you're the idiot. You're the idiot. You're the idiot in the room. You know what I'm saying? Pointing the fingers while there's three.
No, but it's like when somebody makes a racist joke and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, was that racist?" And they're like, "Why would you ask me if that's racist? That makes you the racist."
That makes you the racist. No, because I remember I got my thumb cut off when I was about 5 or 6. You know what I'm saying? Totally cut off. Because and that goes to why I'm gonna tell you why you don't notice him. And I had a complex about it. Like everywhere I walked and every person I met and everything I did was tucking my thumb in. Whenever I went into a meeting, wherever I went into talk to people, I just wherever I met new people, I tucked my thumb until around end of high school, college. I just started to look at it differently. I was just like, though, F it. It's just a thumb. I was like, it's a thumb and it's reattached, and who cares if my nail. You know what I'm saying? But I used to get ridiculed about it when I used to notice it. And that goes when I used to notice it, when I used to tuck it in, when I used to have this complex about it. You know what I'm saying? I would get talked about, and people, you know what I'm saying? Kids are cruel, and they used to talk about, oh, look at your thumb, And as soon as I stopped giving a damn about how it looked or what it stood for in my life, you know what I'm saying? People just actually stopped talking about it.
Yeah, you're gonna make it matter or not,
Yeah, I made it matter my whole life, and when I decided that it didn't matter, it actually didn't matter.
It didn't matter. Well, I think that goes back to what we were talking about earlier today with how you kind of create and shape your reality, and this is your world, and this is our world, and everything in it is our own perception and how we make this. And not to get too metaphysical, but I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. You go up to a girl you're talking to at a bar, and if you're sitting there thinking about all your insecurities, you're going to fail. Whereas,
that's what's going to shine out.
Yeah, that's what's going to come through. And it's
like if you came in here and you're like, oh, so they got these 2 zits on my head, I'm not feeling like the camera should be on. That would really affect you. But I see it's not affecting you. I see you probably didn't even notice those 2 zits on your forehead.
Oh no, I fucking noticed them. Yeah, I discovered a very new trick, and I'm not sure how good this is for your skin, but I've been taking a little bit of rubbing alcohol and just putting it on a zit because I feel like it wants...
Is that a new trick? I thought that's what you do too.
Is that the old...
That or toothpaste.
Yeah, no, I used to use toothpaste.
You sleep with toothpaste, but rubbing alcohol dries it out. That's what that's what I thought.
And witch hazel. I've been
using witch hazel. Yeah, witch hazel.
Little combo of the two, so it's been good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and
ghetto treatments. Ghetto treatments on Modern Male Radio.
But for our listeners out there, and I mean, I'm sure we're going to cover a little bit of this in our New Year's show. But we are going to kind of recap.
It's like a year in review of the Modern Male Radio
movement.
With it's a year in review with Sydney and without Sydney.
Yeah.
As a host, because before, as some of the listeners may know, before I came on,
we had Nick.
We had Nick, and before Nick, we only had Jerod. So,
yes.
So throughout, you've kind of come to this evolution throughout the year.
When I first...
And I'd like to hear about that. I'd like to, I'd like you to take us through this.
Thank you, Sydney. When I started the Modern Male Movement about, So about a year ago, I started writing my book. It was actually a year and a half ago I started writing it. It was about a year that I really got into it. And then I published it in the summer I published it June 16th, 2014. And it's crazy, actually. A lot of people don't know this, but a friend of mine came over the day of my book release. I published it on Monday. On Wednesday, it was my first radio show at LA Talk Radio.
Okay.
It wasn't.
I remember that, actually.
It wasn't my first show, but it was my first appearance on somebody else's show.
On somebody else's show.
And
I remember that because you were telling me.
A friend came over earlier in the morning and actually shot himself in the head in front of me.
Yeah, you told me that too, which was pretty.
It almost as like
pretty gruesome and pretty sad and pretty a lot of things.
It was one of the most horrifying experiences of my life. But
in your house.
Yeah, on my couch.
On your couch, came over to, well, not say hello, but actually kind of.
Yeah.
Do this in front of you for some unbelievably strange reason.
I think maybe the person felt hurt on the inside and they wanted to maybe relay that pain, or and the strange thing I wasn't that close. It was a business associate that I had met in passing.
Kind of a surface friend.
Not even a surface friend. It was somebody that I had done a little bit of business with back in the day, and just came.
So why do you think he chose you? All the people he could have known, I don't know the guy, but all the people he could have known, why do you think he chose you?
I don't know. It's one of the craziest things that all.
Because when you told me the story, and I'm not sure we should be telling the story on air because it's damn graphic, and it's like
yeah.
Like if you've never heard someone tell you a story like we watch 2020, we watch all these news programs, and we hear these type of stories on those, but to stand next to somebody as I did Jerod and have them tell you this type of story word for word, and it's really that made me chill. Like that gave me a chill, made me cringe. I was like, oof.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the most graphic experiences of my life, and I try not to get too deep into it emotionally anymore because it's.
Have you gotten over it?
It's one of those things that it's like an ex-girlfriend or whatever. Whenever you can comparable pain, devastation, when you break up with somebody. Or when I never had anybody die, so that's the only thing I could compare it to. Was kind of a loss.
Have you gotten any therapy for it? I'm curious. Are you a therapy guy? I know some people are therapy people,
No.
Some people are not. Some people, kind of deal with their own issues. Some people are very much into talking to others about their issues,
Well, I had a really, really bad history growing up, and I had a lot of really bad stuff happen with my family and my father, and I'd been in therapy for years, and I don't really feel like it helps. I don't like Freudian non-directive therapy where people sit there and you just talk about it and you talk about it. It's like, why would I pay you to sit there and talk about it? I could do this with anybody. And honestly, I learned at a very, very early age to internalize things. And, they say it's bad, but it's only bad if you internalize it and you don't deal with it.
Right.
Then it becomes pain and it compounds on itself and it explodes. The best you can do is kind of try and figure it out, and then you accept it and you grieve for it and you move on. With something like that, it was crazy because I watched him die. I watched this person actually die in front of me, and I'd never.
Watched his head explode and bleed out on your carpet.
Yep.
Not to put it so graphically, but that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it gets.
If our viewers and listeners can actually, you can't but put themselves in that moment when that happened. It's
And I literally got back from the police station and took a shower and came over here and did my first radio interview with James Bartolet. And it's funny because they kept asking me like, "Why is your sister here? Why is your sister here?" And I was like, "Well, she's helping me clean up a body." But it's true.
Right.
Because you never know this, but when somebody dies, the police department doesn't really do anything. They actually they're like, okay, they take the body, but they don't take any of the other stuff, and they'll refer you to a private cleaning service. So my sister's an EMT, and she was like, we can handle this. We can handle this. And even the detective warned me. He's like, dude, it's really expensive. He's like, you can clean this up. He's like,
yeah, because it's all sorts of, biochemical stuff that has to go through. People with the white suits got to come in and do a clean.
Yeah, I mean, you can do
bio
it that way,
clean.
but you're not allowed to throw away it's such
biohazardous waste.
Yeah, it's such a big one. And then the next day I woke up and I realized that somebody had threatened to sue me for the book. The day after that,
what were they suing you about?
I had so it was a good idea to put a tag cloud in the book. we basically put all these names
this.
inside of the book, as a thank you page. We wrote like a big ass page, and it was like, thank you for da-da-da.
Can't do that, buddy. Not in America. You can't be attaching people to things that you don't have permission to attach them to. You're trying to find a little loophole. Be honest. You're trying to find a little loophole. Was it really a thank you page, or was it a little loophole you were trying to find to actually put some names on the book?
It was people that had inspired us, but here's the thing: when an Amazon search engine runs through and you type in any of those names, if they're mentioned anywhere in that book, your book pops up.
So you're looking for a little loophole?
Yeah, you type in a bunch of prolific authors and stuff.
Honesty's the best policy, so no one's gonna blame you for it. We all use little tricks and things like that. I
was being advised to do that, by the way. I didn't like the tech.
You're being creative. You're being creative.
No. It actually wasn't my idea. That was something that works in a different circuit for different kinds of books.
Okay.
Books that aren't relevant to adult. There's a lot of adult content in my book. There's a lot of really.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. Yeah, well, graphic. Yeah, and people not necessarily want to be attached to those type things.
So the people that did my book they're motivational speaking. They do books for speakers and trainers and skill sets. So if somebody mentions your book and they go, "Hey, thank you for inspiring me." Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins don't give a shit. He's like, yeah, I know I inspired you. I started this shit.
Right. No, I'm the leader of it. I inspired everybody.
So when you got a book on meditation, nobody's gonna sue you over it. But when you've got diagrams in the back of your book about how to eat pussy, it gets a little
right.
Yeah, there actually are.
And maybe I don't want to be attached to that. Maybe I want to be attached to the book that talks about eating. Eating vagina.
So that's I woke up to that the next day. And I think after that, there was such a traumatic experience that I
hit from the left, hit from the right, learning lessons.
I was drunk for, I don't know, an entire 7 days.
Oh, you spiraled down a little bit.
Yeah.
Found some comfort in the bottle.
I can laugh about it now because
hindsight is 20/20.
I can laugh about it now because to me, it was like somebody came into my life and really tried to fuck with me, really tried to get in my head, really tried to hurt me. Because I can't see any other reason for that. Like, they didn't know me well enough. And for me to be like, hey, I just published a book. This is awesome, da-da-da. And they're like, hey, man, let me come by and congratulate you. There was malicious intent there. It was, why would you do that? And maybe they wanted to matter.
Why? But don't you think that is the question, and getting into the answer of that question may spawn why?
Well, I found out the guy was a bit of a con artist. And, when the cops came, they discovered he had a whole bunch of IDs and different people's stuff on him. And, we had done a small business venture together.
So, okay, yeah, in business with this guy.
So I wonder if maybe, my best guess is that he probably, he was fake. Everything about him was fake. Like, I remember, because he always used to tell me about how much money he made, and, he had this trust, and he was so-and-so's rich, famous, fucking, illegitimate child.
Right.
He had all of these different stories.
Like a lot of people, like a lot of stories in Hollywood.
Yeah, and, like, every time we try and do some business together.
It always fall through, or some wires always caught up, some transfer didn't get in.
Exactly.
Waiting on some numbers to clear, yeah.
Exactly. So he ended up, what I feel is a lot of, when I published my book, it polarized a lot of people. I lost anybody who
My father said, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear, and you'll be all right in life. That's my Christmas gift to you, Jerod.
That's true. But when I published my book, it polarized a lot of people. Like, I dropped off the face of the earth for about a year. Nobody really heard from me, saw me, or anything. I dug in the trenches with Zach. Zach was the one who illustrated my book, and he helped me publish it. He's part of Distinct Press. He was on my first radio show. He's been on a whole bunch of them. And I wouldn't be here without Zach. He really, 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 he's one of the greatest assets I've ever had, was to have him come over to my house every day, and we hammered out the book. And I'd already written it at the time,
right? But
he really helped me kind of comb through it and edit it and structure it, and then we put the illustrations in there. And his mom owns Distinct Press, and I actually partnered with them a little bit.
Nice.
Because of the whole experience.
Well, with every door that closes, new doors open.
A new one
opens, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going over some of the beginning shows that you had before I was part of the show, because I don't know if I want to attach myself to those parts of this. Just joking, but we got some porn on there. We got the gigolo. We got adult industry.
Yeah. So
where were you at that time in the show? Where was your thinking? Where was your frame of mind in terms of these episodes?
Well, it's a twofold thing. First off, I don't like judgment, and I don't like judging people because of what they've done or the choices they've made. And I have a lot of friends
Evolved thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Evolved thinking. And that's part of what the modern
male movement.
I
I told you to do those voice exercises before you got on the air, didn't I?
Yeah. I never do. But no, the modern male movement was, it's basically innovating the way you think. And that's what my company's called, Innovative Awareness. You know that.
Yep.
And, I know so many porn stars, and they're so confident.
Why do you know all these porn stars?
How did that all start?
Where did porn start for you, Jerod?
It's funny because when they're
Are they just people that you met and they just happen to be in porn?
I was dating a girl, and then her best friend was Tina Jordan, and Tina was the one that kind of opened everything.
Oh, one of the Playboy bunnies back in the day?
Yeah.
Like in the 90s, yeah.
She was 2002 Playmate of the Year.
2002 Playmate of the Year, okay.
And me and
very
Tina,
nice girl. I know I met her before. Very, very nice and pleasant person.
Tina's awesome.
Yeah, Tina's
awesome.
Very genuine, happy, nice person, yeah.
And it was like, having gotten to know Tina, it was really, really hard to be judgmental because she was so sweet and she was awesome. And when you really get to know her,
So that was kind of the turning point in terms of meeting this person that took you from a point where you may have judged people before and to say, wow, hold up, let me rethink this.
I was never super judgmental before, but there was definitely something about it that was
a turning point for you in terms of.
And all of a sudden, I was like,
how you chose to think about things.
Yeah, and it made me embrace it a little bit more, and to kind of see other people judge it when you know this person, and you see other people's judgment start to attack them and stuff. You're going, well, wait, no, this person's awesome. Like at heart, they're great.
Right.
Just because
they're a person.
Yeah, exactly. They're a person.
They're a person.
And just because you showed your twat off, like we all have one. We don't all have one, but we all have junk.
I can't go with that line of thinking. I don't have a twat.
If your vagina,
unless I haven't found it.
Well, if your vagina or your cock is good looking enough to where you can actually monetize it and people want to see it. I think it's all about choices. I'm like, people go through life and make their choices. And either you own the choices you make, and some of the choices you make, you at certain different points in your life, you may have made a different one. Yeah. But you made that choice at that particular time. I think with it's about owning that choice. Yeah. And it's about dealing with it. If you didn't want to make that choice, if it was a mistake, then you deal with that also. But I think the most important thing is not about what you do or how you're doing, unless you're hurting someone else or hurting or hurting yourself, then you have to rethink or reevaluate why you do things or what you're doing. But in this day and age, you have 8 million ways to sin and 9 million more to how to fuck up things and make people mad. And I think that the more you take ownership of your choices, the more you learn. Yeah.
The more you can
pivot out of that.
You can pivot out of that and move forth. And I think everything about life is moving forth. Everything about evolution is moving forward.
Well, every time you have to pivot on something, it's because you learned a valuable lesson, and so it would stand to reason that the more times you pivot in life, the more valuable lessons you learned, and the more value you would have, from that.
So tell me about you had Nick Hawk as a guest on the show, and then he's a gigolo, and then he became one of the hosts. Yeah, where was what was going on there, and why did it start and why did it end?
Well, real quick, I want to get back to Tina.
All right, let's go back to Tina for a minute.
Thing. Tina introduced me to basically everybody. She introduced me to Brooke. Brooke's been on the show a few times. Brooke's awesome.
She's a bit of a socialite in Hollywood.
I wouldn't even call her a socialite. Tina's just great, and a lot of people really like her. And she's
she's just sociable, so she's a socialite.
Yeah,
socialite. She's a light in the social world.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's semantics, buddy. Don't delve deep into the words too much. She's a socialite. Go on.
Okay, and she's the one that actually brought me to my first seminar.
Okay.
So when the whole public speaking thing, the motivational speaking.
So she was into it. She was trying to improve on herself.
Tina's got a library of motivational books that would shock you, and it's
would shock you.
It definitely shocked me. I mean,
why did it shock you? Because she's a porn star, and porn stars are not supposed to have books like that.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
Judgment.
Exactly. And it's crazy to kind of have experienced that, and then you come outside of that and you see how other people treat them, and you go, oh, well, they'll never get a chance to know that person like I know that person. So when I started my radio show, I mean, it was actually Michelle Maylene that brought me to James Bartolet.
Your other girl.
So, yeah, and I met Michelle through Brooke, and they were all, amazing girls, and Brooke took me to a show once.
Amazing people.
Yeah, they're amazing people. And it's crazy because they've got...
they just happen to have this job that's judged in a certain way.
Well, yeah, and why is that job judged in that certain way?
Society judges a lot of things, Society judges lawyers, society judges quack doctors, where we live in a judgmental society. Well, we're taught to judge.
Yeah, fair
that we're taught to judge.
Yeah.
This is that from when we get, educational system is based on, teaching you to judge. You have people that are in honors courses, people that are in remedial courses, and they're tagged that way. They're not just in classes that, are better for them to learn. They're in this type of class or this type of class. They ride the short bus, they ride this bus.
Yeah.
And that,
very
that very definitive, and that breeds a judgment.
Yeah, and
you're taught to judge that way.
And that's what Innovative Awareness is trying to, we're trying to do that with the Modern Male Movement a little bit.
Unlearn that thinking.
Yeah, to unlearn that thinking.
Unravel that.
Go
right back inside and start learning something new.
Defy genre, defy archetypes, defy all these different things. Like, if you're that way, you have to be all of the different eggs in that basket. Mm-hmm. If you're that color or that you're that way, then, you're automatically like this.
Well, it definitely helped with a lot of the issues that we're dealing with in the current news. You have, the 2 officers that were shot in New York. Prayers go out to their families, and prayers go out to them, and may they pass in peace.
Yeah.
As well as the Eric Garner that was shot, choked by a New York police officer, and Michael Brown that was shot in Ferguson, and a host of other people that are just killed by other people.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main theme is people are killing people, and where does it stop? Where do we come to the understanding that that's what we're not supposed to be doing that? Our natural instinct is survival. Our natural instinct is as human beings is to survive and prosper and proliferate.
What's more interesting
why are we killing each other?
Would that cop have died? Would those 2 cops have been shot had the media not jumped on this and made this big thing? Because if they didn't blow it out, and make somebody irritated about this, if it wasn't publicized,
I think
it's like the shootings, like at the high schools. Well, they followed each other, and then they became a big thing because other people.
Well, it has to be publicized. I think it has to be publicized because it's dealing with a greater issue that we face in the United States of America, and that's racism. It's a greater disease. So therefore,
yeah. But the guy shot too. Wasn't one of the cops?
Well, one of the cops. One of the cops was Chinese, and the other cop was Latin. I'm not sure what type of Latin, maybe Puerto Rican. But it was against the cops.
And the guy had I don't think it was against the cops at all. I think the guy, because the guy had just shot
the guy
his
was crazy.
Yeah, he had just shot his fucking girlfriend.
I understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is what is being reported in terms of the reasoning why this guy shot. But the guy obviously was out of his nutter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He reports from his sister that he was psychologically and mentally ill. He should have been in a psychological and mental institution. They kept letting him out. This is from his sister that they interviewed. So he was crazy. He had some very bad emotional issues to deal with, and he used any person is going to rationalize why they're doing their behavior. So in saying that it was for Eric Garner and Michael Brown, that's a rationalization for himself to do what he was already going to do.
He was already going to do it. Yeah, no, I agree, 100%. So I think it was,
But more importantly, what we're talking about is, just the release of the attempt release of judgment, the attempt to unlearn what we've learned in our sociological construct, to judge, to look at people differently, to judge them on their differences rather than our similarities. How do we go forth in 2015 trying to break that down?
Is that human nature or is that American nature?
Whew, that's a great question. That's a great question.
Because I think it boils. It's the same thing with porn stars. You know, I think that a lot of women judge.
You know, I think it may be a part of our nature to notice differences as well as the similarities, but we have the power and divine power which we are given to control that. That's why we're human beings, because we have the ability to control that, to control those impulses. Yes, I can see a difference. I can see that Jerod's white. Yeah, I have eyes, you know. And I can see that I'm black. I can see his hair is, you know, I can see his hair is wavy and mine is, you know, well, when I did have hair, you know, mine stands up straight. Mine is, you know, woolly. But what does that matter?
Exactly.
I think it's
where does that translate?
Yes,
why is that important?
We put the definitions on why it matters in our society. The sociological constructs put these definitions of why it matters, and then they put a hierarchy on the matter of it. And that's the problem. It's not that we see differences. We're going to see differences. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with differences.
Yeah.
It's what we place on the differences.
And I'd love to come to a place in society where we actually celebrate each other's differences. We push it out there, and it's like, hey, that's awesome. You're different, you know? If we were all the same.
Look at his white skin. Look at his wavy hair. My gosh, you look great. Look at his nose.
I wish I had your tan year round.
Oh my gosh, look at his nose. It's all pointy and stuff. You know what I'm saying? His eyes are blue. My gosh, the sky is blue. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, rather than seeing something negative.
Yeah, it's
and
it's
you
so
know,
stupid.
our and I say it again, our sociological constructs always tends to point to the negative, because how better to control people than to confuse them and put them against each other.
Yeah. And, you know, if we're fighting each other, we're never going to be fighting the establishment. Not that I think that we should be fighting the establishment.
No, I think we have to understand, you know, our establishment. We have to understand our institutions.
I think a greater understanding of our political system and
we have to learn. We have to learn how to navigate.
Yeah.
We have to learn how to navigate.
Take control of your life and actually
Yes.
make a difference. Make something work. You know, and
take charge of what you're a part of. We are part of the institutions. People make up the institutions. So if we take charge of these and take responsibilities for these institutions, maybe these institutions change, and the sociological constructs that, you know what I'm saying, that compound these institutions, they start to shift.
Yeah. And I heard it best once, you know, because you can think really broad and globally, and I've been guilty of this, you know, just being like, oh, we need to go, you know, do this, and it's like the best way, phrase I've ever heard that really kind of sums it up is from a friend of mine that went to AA, and he was talking about cleaning up your side of the street, and he goes, you know, I just cleaned up my side of the street, and it's not just your house, it's your house and a few blocks, but it's that little radius,
Yes.
it's that little,
It's
is
your
my
world.
space, and these are the
It's your
people
world.
in it.
As we go back to the top of the show, it's your world. Keep your house clean. Keep your world clean. And when my world invades your world, you know what I'm saying? They're two clean worlds.
Yeah.
They're two cleaned up worlds, rather than, you know, our worlds coming together and they're dirty. And then, you
Get
know,
some aura STDs. Yeah. So I never told you about Nick.
Let's tell me about Nick briefly, and then we're gonna go into next year. We're gonna talk about a lot of the great things that we're gonna be they're gonna be on the show next year with us.
Yes.
Please tell me about this guy, Nick.
So basically, the show started with you know, Michelle brought me on, and I met James Barley. I met Sam, the owner.
Merry Christmas, Sam.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. And
he's the owner and our engineer. Wow, right? to have the owner as your engineer. Wow, he must really love us.
He's the man behind the curtain.
He thinks our show is the greatest. Yes, he does.
So I started the first couple shows by myself. It was good. You know, I love the idea of pushing something forward, and I'm sorry, I'm very dissatisfied with a lot of the dating advice that's out there in the world. A lot of anything that people are preaching is it's tainted.
So you decided to give your 2 cents.
Yeah, and that's kind of what the show was. Well, I mean, I did it with the book, and then I was like, cool. Well, I'm gonna take the show, and I'm gonna keep compounding this. And there's gonna be more. There's gonna be events. Like I'm taking this to the next fucking level. The modern male movement is not going anywhere. In fact, it's only getting bigger. And mark my words, by next Christmas, you're all gonna know that. So, you know, I just built it out, and I met Nick, and Nick was another example of somebody that you could judge on first sight, and he'd be, you know, Nick had actually read my book before I even published it. He wrote a little review for it, and it was nice, but I'd never spoken to Nick. You know, it was just one of those like, hey, what do you think of this? And he was like, cool. And that was one of those cases where you could really get into judging somebody based on what they do. You'd be like, oh, this gigolo.
He's a gigolo.
And then we went out.
He obviously, this is what he's about because he's a gigolo.
And then we went out and it's like, no, this guy's an entrepreneur. This guy's really smart. This guy, he's got a leadership quality that's something that could really add to the modern male movement.
But aren't our actions everything about us?
One of the things that I loved about Nick was that he made all of his actions were very spot on, and then he owned it, like you were talking about. Nick has never once apologized for being a gigolo, and he's never once said this is something that I think I shouldn't have done in life. It's a choice that he made, and I think he's very happy about it. And at the end of the day, that's kind of where we parted ways. We were trying to do a whole bunch of stuff, and Nick's an awesome guy. Like there was never any friction between the two of us.
Right.
It's his expertise is in the adult world, and he's got a stripper company, and he's got all these different things that he's doing. But what he's building wasn't really where I was going.
Right.
And I'm building this out into a very chic thing and a very GQ thing, and
chic and GQ. is that where the evolution goes to chic and GQ?
But see, that's the thing. Like chic and GQ gets immediately associated.
We're evolving around here.
With douchey.
We're evolving around here. We got to be chic and GQ. So, no, I get your point. I think that without judgment, you didn't see that life gelling with that world, gelling with this world, and there's nothing wrong. The two worlds can exist.
No. It wasn't even that. Nick had an entire business that he was. It wasn't that the two couldn't coexist. It was that Nick had an entire business.
I think
model.
they can coexist because you have so many different people in the world.
Yeah, no. And at some point, Nick may be back. Not for co-hosting, but for kind of where we're going with this.
To explain what? I'm curious now.
Nick is a sexpert, and that's one part of our book.
Sexpert.
Yeah, Nick has.
Gotta know sex. In 2015, gotta know what makes you mate. And you know what I'm saying? Hot and heavy.
Yeah, you really do need to know that.
Because what are the number two? The number two reasons for divorce are what? Can you tell me?
Finances and what?
And sex.
Is it sex?
I think so. It's on the top 3. Sex is in the top 5. I know that.
Okay,
that's right.
I would think that it would be finances and then backbone. Guy loses his backbone.
No, sex is in the top 3. I'm pretty sure of this, or the top 5.
I'm pretty sure that the next one is drive.
Nope. The next one is finances. Well, finances
and then drive.
Finances have everything to do with drive. Drive have to, if you have drive, you probably have some finances.
That's true. The two are
so
synonymous.
yeah, it's probably sex.
But yeah, no.
We'll have that answer in 2015 for you.
But to answer the question directly, Nick's very, very busy with what he's doing.
Cool.
And
though he's living his life, and and we wish him well, and maybe he'll be back. To give us some great sex advice. But now I want to before we have a few more minutes, I want to go into all the good stuff that we have planned for next year.
Yes.
So we're going to reformat the show. So this is going to be it's going to be funny. It's going to be smart.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to every time you listen to this show, you're going to be able to pull something from it. For your personal life. And also one of the great segments that we're going to have listener and viewers being able to chime in on the conversation.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you how we're going to do it because we don't want people to steal our ideas in 2015. But we're going to have the ability for our viewers and listeners to chime in on the conversation and give their damn 2 cents.
Yeah.
Because everyone has something to say.
Yeah, and that's
not just the famous people, not just the rich people, the regular person just in his room that has something to say, that thinks that his voice needs to be heard. Hey, he has a right.
Yeah, you know what? I love it. I love when I get fan mail. I love when
I get fan mail.
When people give us any sort of feedback.
And we're gonna be reading fan mail on the show next year.
Yeah.
You're gonna be able to see me not only on this show, but you're gonna be able to see me on Bravo next year, starting from January 12th. On
right. Mark your calendar.
And
January 12th.
you're actually gonna be able to see me go through a relationship.
Yes.
Right, which is unbelievably poignant to a lot of the topics that we're going to be talking about in terms of love, life, and relationships and friendships and everything like that. So you'll actually be able to see your host Sydney Hall actually go through it.
Yeah,
and see how I deal with it. And see how I deal with it.
Yeah, as we open up the next the new year, that's actually what we're going to be starting with. We're going to go through and every show, Sydney's every episode, we're actually going to have an interview. We're going to have the people on.
Yeah, we're going to have the cast of some of my castmates on the interviewing them. You know, on the show, we're going to be live tweeting. And
we're going to be able to dissect it in real time.
Yeah.
So one of the things, your show's on Monday, yeah?
On Monday, 10 p.m., Bravo, airing January 12th.
So that gives you guys 4 days from Monday to Thursday to
get your questions to get your questions ready, to get your feelings about what I may have done that you like, what I may have done that you didn't like, what I could have did better, you know, what road I could have took, you know what I'm saying, I could have turned left when I went right. So yeah, I'm like, and I'm be open to the mercy of your comments and sometimes judgments.
Yeah, send them in because we want to hear them, and we want to hear you guys' feedback on the show, where you want us to go with the show, what topics we need to cover. If you guys have, even if you have guests that you think that we should cover.
Just even like Jerod said, even topics you want to hear about, you know, expressed a little bit more. We're open for it.
Yeah, if there's a part of the show that you didn't feel like you quite got, or we didn't cover it in enough depth.
2015 is about the people, baby. It's about all of us.
It's
about bringing all of us together. It's about bringing all of us together and showing the world that, hey, you know what though? Just because you look a little different doesn't mean we have to think different.
Exactly. And we're
and just because we think different doesn't mean that, hey, I gotta hate you for that. And even if I hate you, doesn't mean, hey.
Well, you know what's funny is that you keep saying that, and it reminds me of business, because one of the mark of a great businessman is they know where to put people's strengths. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't ever see a businessman competing with other people. He's competing with other businesses, yes. But he doesn't compete with his team. His team they work together.
The team is the team. It's like a great football team or a great basketball team. You know, the point guard doesn't try to play the center position. The center doesn't try to play the forward position. You know?
When the aliens attack, we need to be united. Come on, guys.
Everyone knows. hey, we got to get ready for these aliens.
Yeah, we got to get out there.
Right.
So lots of exciting stuff.
Bump these humans and these racists. We got to get ready for these humans. We're gonna be in a fight we're gonna be in a fight for the earth.
Yeah, God forbid they're unified, right?
Right. That happened on a movie a while back called with Will Smith, I believe, and we actually won. But
Independence Day.
Once again, I guess I guess we're out of here.
We are almost out of here.
Yeah.
So really exciting stuff for 2015. We want your comments. You can look us up on Facebook at The Modern Male Movement. You can go to methodologythemodernmale.com. We got links.
You can Google Sydney Hall. You can Google Jerod Zavistoski. But you have one more thing before we leave.
Yes, I do.
You have a Christmas gift to everyone out there.
Do.
Please give it forth.
So for you guys, for Christmas on the Modern Male Movement page, we're going to be extending this that night, probably Christmas and maybe the day after. We are going to be extending a gift to you, to all my viewers, to everybody that's been tuning into the show thus far. Everybody that's got a subscription. You can now go to my website, and it'll either be on my website or my Facebook page, but you'll find it. There will be a link to where you can download a free copy of the book.
Ooh! Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year!
So that'll be the ebook. You guys will be able to download that. Get ready.
You heard it right here. Get a free ebook. Download the link of Jerod Zavistoski, The Methodology of the Modern Male. Yeah!
I would love to hear you guys.
I can finally get this book then.
Yes. Yes, you can finally get that book.
Finally get this book then.
And I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. I'd love to have comments, anything related to the reviews. I want to know what you guys think. We want to know what you guys think.
Yes.
We're not sitting here talking into a camera for no reason. This is for you. So please let us know how we can make this a better experience for you. And I hope you enjoy your Christmas present.
Enjoy your Christmas present and enjoy the families that you are going to be with. You know, I know some people go to other people's houses, but we're all the human family. So please be safe out there. Enjoy your Christmas and New Year's. And drink responsibly, or whatever you do, just do it responsibly, and make it back to us in 2015.
Awesome. Well, that's all for tonight, folks. Thanks for tuning in to Modern Male Radio.
And keep the evolution on. Yeah.
You're listening to Modern Male Radio with Jerod Zavistoski and Sydney Hall, right here on LA Talk Radio.